Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hitting that like, comment, subscribe button really does help me out a lot, and I appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. So let's talk about swim baits because the time is now. If you've got water on your lake that gets above 50 degrees, I am going to be tying on some type of swim bait. Now, I live on Guntersville. We have a lot of big forage, a lot of fish that eat big forage. So this is a Zoom 5-inch swimmer. This is a Bass Tricks 6-inch paddle tail, and it is a hollow belly paddle tail swim bait. And this is a great tool pretty much now all the way up until mid to late summer. So I want to kind of give you how I utilize this bait in the mid-range and how I utilize this in shallow water. So shallow water for me, 5 feet or less. And this is not really a primary strength of mine. I've caught one of the biggest bags I've ever weighed in a tournament on this bait, but I am not an expert at this bait. So if you're not an expert, stick with me here because I'm gonna give you a couple little situations. Takes you 5 casts, and it's a good way to catch a big fish. So the first situation that I really like with this swim bait, let's say I'm fishing a grass lake. Now, there's gonna be an outside line of grass, and then as you get further to the bank, it's gonna be an inside line, and I like to fish the outside line a lot, but the fish aren't always going to utilize that outside line. Maybe they've moved in, maybe they're spawning, whatever the reason is. When I move into that grass, there's usually a boat lane, some type of access in there. Right where the entrance of that boat lane is, I love to throw a swim bait, just a few casts right there. For whatever reason, I think maybe the fish can kind of see out onto the lake. He's kind of protected from the other way. It's a really likable big fish spot, and it just takes you a few casts. Take that swim bait. It's a big fish bait. It's going to teach you a ton about big fish behavior. Make a few casts. It doesn't matter if you have water that is, you know, very, very little visibility, maybe less than a foot. A fish is going to be able to find that big swim bait. It's one little cast. You know, it's not like you got to throw it 100, times. You're one or two, 3 casts, and you've covered that whole little area. I mean, those spots getting into those grass areas, they're typically about the size of a boat. Perfect for a big fish to be setting up. Now, if you're in a little clear water and you go back into a pocket, this is one of those deals where it's typically not my primary pattern. You know, let's say I'm running a completely different pattern, but I just get a vibe that let's go test out some big fish stuff. I slide into that pocket, get near the back, 4 or 5 casts with that swim bait, and I don't have to stop doing what I'm doing, but it's just a good way to give yourself an opportunity at a 5 or 6 pounder. Just a good way to pick up a big random bite. Those are very important in tournaments. So I also like this bait. Let's say I do get an area and it's 14-incher, 15-incher, 14-incher, 15-incher. Then I'll pick up that swim bait. I know that that swim bait will yield better size fish than any other bait that I have tied on. I can creep that bait slow along the bottom and just give those bigger fish basically what they want. So that is how I use this bait shallow. Again, not my biggest strength, and it's not something that is going to be the way I catch every single fish. In the post spawn, I might lean more towards throwing it all day when the fishing gets kind of weird, but right now it's just a tool to pick up 1 or 2 big bites. So as we get into that mid-range, this is going to be more of a pre-spawn, post-spawn type deal. And what I really like about this bait in the mid-range, anywhere from 5 to 10 feet of water, is you can reel it slow, but you can still cover a whole lot of water. So what I mean by that is when I'm fishing around structure, is it a drain, a point, maybe a saddle, like a little knob or island that has deep water access, 360 degrees around it, and then you have a point close by to that. You get on those type places, and if you understand how to fish structure, the bait is really great for that because you can just make pinpoint casts to like exactly where the fish should be setting up on the structure, but you can reel it slow. So you're keeping your bait in the strike zone, and you can just move the boat all around that structure and then make the cast where the fish are typically going to set up. It's a really good bait for that, and in the post spawn, that's where those big fish are going to be setting up. So it's a really good bait to cover water and then give the big fish what they want while still appealing to them with the correct speed of the way you're reeling it. So It is a great tool this time of year. Again, you don't have to be an expert with this bait to make it work for you. You know, it reminds me a lot of like a big topwater walking bait, like a super spook or something, where you don't necessarily need to make it your pattern. You just need to have it tied on, ready to go to throw in a couple places where a big fish may be. And it's one of those deals where it appeals to big fish. Now, you can catch big fish on any bait, obviously, but this is one that I would put in that category of big fish. So try a swim bait, keep it rigged up for the next 3 or 4 months. It will help you a lot to catch that big random bite. Good luck to you guys, and I'll see you on the water.